This person came to me, and he had been in prison, and he went to prison because he was trying to survive in the hood, and his mother, throughout his life, told him that he was just like his father. His father went to prison for some things, trying to help the family survive. And the mother was angry. So she always was talking bad or disagreeably about daddy, and told the boy, "You just like him. You ain't no good. You're going to live just like him." Now, the boy is very intelligent. He's mommy and daddy 2.0. He's the upgrade. So he can take what mommy and daddy did to a whole nother level. But mama's always telling him that he's just like his daddy. He ain't no good. You're going to end up in jail just like him. So guess what? Even though the boy's very intelligent, he grows up and he does something just like daddy, because mommy programmed his subconscious to be just like daddy, even though the boy never really knew daddy. But the mama introduced him to daddy because of the disagreeable talk, the talk of lack and limitation and not enoughness and fear and anger and grief. The mama taught him about daddy. All he saw was a few pictures and a couple times talked to him on the phone from jail. The son goes out and does something worse than daddy, because the mama told him, "You're going to be just like daddy, knucklehead." So while he's in jail, in prison, he begins to read. He's always in the library. He gets a law degree. He gets a business degree. He's actually teaching people in the prison how to read, how to change their cases, how to go to court, how to, how to better their lives. He gets out of jail or prison early for good behavior, for all these things that he did. When he was in business, he wrote a business plan to help his old community, so he could create more thriving instead of surviving individuals in his community. How to help people not end up in jail. How to help people deal with the law and understand the law. And how to become successful individuals. He gets out of jail. He goes to his mother, and his mother says, "Look, what are you going to do now that you're out of jail?" He says, "I have this program." She said, "Well, you got a felony. You got a felony. You ain't going to be able to get no job. You ain't going to, just like your father." Well, he moves out of his mama's house because he can't take it. And he takes this business plan and he goes to all these banks, and he tells the banks that he'd like them to be involved and sponsor this program. And they say, "Well, it's a really good plan, but you got a felony, you've been involved in trouble, we're a little afraid of you, and you're black and you're big and you got a beard and you got locks, so no, we can't do it." He finally goes to this one bank, and the bank is looking to come up in the community and help. The bank has got their name on bus benches and all this kind of stuff. The bank is talking about it's a community bank. They love his business plan. He basically jumps through every hoop he needs to jump through with that bank. They're going to give him $3 million and help him with this plan that's going to help community. He gets to the place where he's only got to see one more person who's going to sign off on this deal. Now check this out. This is deep. He's sitting in the waiting room, waiting to see the person. They've already agreed that they're going to sign his deal. He's going to get the deal to help to do this program to help this community, his community. As he's waiting for the man that's going to sign the papers, he gets sniffles. He starts sniffing. One eye starts watering. He gets a cold sweat. Then he starts coughing and he starts sneezing. And he feels like he's got a cold or a flu all of a sudden. Finally, the man who is going to sign the papers says, "Come on in." And he says, "Man, it's really good to meet you. I'm glad to have you here. This is going to be a great project. This is going to be wonderful for our community." But the brother is sniffing, sneezing, cold, sweaty. It just seems like something's wrong with him. And the man says, "Well, are you okay?" He says, I don't, he can't even really explain. He can't talk because he's going through these states of whatever right now, illness. And the guy says, "Well, you don't seem too good right now. I'll tell you what, why don't you go home, come back in 2 weeks when you feel a little better and we'll sign the deal."
Damn.
He leaves. He gets outside. He's sitting on the bus stop. The bus stop has the bank's name on it. He stops sniffling. He stops sneezing. The cold sweat goes away.
The program took over.
The program took over.
Damn, that was a hell of a story.
Wait, I ain't done with the story yet. Hold on now.
Shit.
Hold on now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hold on now.
Yeah.
He goes back home. He's depressed. Oh my God, I messed the deal up. And he says, no, but I'm going to go back. He gets himself together. He doesn't really have a cold or a flu or anything. He feels great. 2 weeks later, he's all pumped up, got his suit on, right? He drinks some tea, drinks some holy basil tea because he heard that holy basil will help with his nervous system, help with his immune system. And he's sitting there waiting for the man to come out. And he sits in the office and they say, well, who are you here to see? They say, well, I'm here to see such and such. They say, oh, well, he no longer works for the bank. He got another job and he left. This is the guy that's supposed to sign off on his deal. The person who's supposed to sign off is no longer there. The brother comes to me and he says, I don't know. He says, man, I heard that you can help with mental parasites, ghosts and things in my head. Yeah. Something is wrong with me. I need to get my mother out my head. And what we realized was that he was so engulfed, his subconscious was so engulfed in failure and dispute and fighting and war. And he was creating a sense and a space of illness based on him being like his father. He was the saboteur. He was the one who cut his own throat. He did this not consciously. He did it subconsciously because that was the program. His mama gave it to him through repetition. So we worked for, I think it was like maybe 6 weeks. He came to see me every day for almost 6 weeks. And I began to teach him how to reprogram and do what's called pattern interrupts. So we did breathing, we did this thing called the rubber band trick, where you take a rubber band and put it on your wrist. And every time you start feeling certain states of consciousness, you pop the rubber band, which begins to reprogram the subconscious, because the subconscious doesn't really like pain. But sometimes you got to go through pain, right? And break through the glass ceiling, right? To get to the place of peace. Do you know, after we worked with this man, he did the parasite cleansing. He did everything. He was at the meetings, that we used to have at our place Elevation on Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles. And he comes back, man. He disappears for about 6 months. And he comes back and he's driving this fly-ass car. I think it was a Mercedes or something. He jumps out with this suit. He says, Dr. B, man, I just want to thank you. I said, what's happening, man? How you doing? He says, man, guess what? Guess what? I got the deal. This good dude goes on to put together this, one of the programs I think was My Daddy Cries Something. It was about men who've lost their children or who didn't connect to their children anymore. How he was putting the fathers back with the children. He was creating all these programs to help build communities. He became very wealthy. I think if he's still there, he became big in Los Angeles. We helped him break the program. But in order to break the program, you got to be ready to go into the darkness. You got to be ready to go into the shadow. We got to go back in there and find out what's happening. And then we have to create an opposite force.